So yeah, Tower of Fantasy is having a collab. So if you guys haven't heard of this, this just was announced a couple of hours ago, right? This is definitely very new, very recent. This one. This is the collab. Alright. So this is going to be very huge. I think it's going to be massive. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows of this anime, right? Come on, let's be honest. Is there anyone who don't know of Evangelion? Okay, I'm sure everybody here knows or have heard of this anime, unless you don't really follow anime at all, which is totally brutally fine. But yeah, you can see they did tease 4 characters rather. Wait, no, 3. So that's Nemesis. I completely mistaken for someone else. So that's going to be the case for this particular one. Very cool, right? So as you can see, this is going not only the only thing that's happening. There's a few other things happening as well, right? I'm not sure if this collab is both going to be in global and CN, or is it only global? But they did announce it alongside with this. We got news. This is going to be the most intense news ever. So dear Wanderers, we've noticed the launch of the CN Reboot server has sparked discussion. Today, we would like to share our plans and thoughts about the Global Classic server, and we'd love for you to take a moment and read through this with us. So, Global is going to have Tower of Fantasy new server called a Classic server. So let's talk about this, right? So if you guys are not aware, Tower of Fantasy, basically a few months, was it a few months or a few weeks? I can't remember exactly. We were talking about this as it was happening. They did sort of like announce that they are going to reboot the server, right? Reboot as in like nobody knows what that means. Like revamp the game, change the game entirely. Nobody knows, but so far it's been happening in CN. Apparently reboot just means like a new server, but more balanced, as in like the characters are more balanced. It's not as broken as and stuff. So this is the Q&A for Tower of Fantasy Classic version. You can see right here. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So we noticed that since the CN version launched the Reboot server last December, it has sparked a lot of discussion among global players. We know many of you are curious if the global server will get it as well. Taking this opportunity, we would like to take a moment to share some thoughts and plans about the Classic version for global through the following Q&A. You'll get to understand why we decided to create a Classic version for global and find answers to some questions you are asking. Okay, so why Classic version instead of more optimizations to the standard version? So that's number one that they're gonna hopefully answer. So why are they making a new version of Tower of Fantasy? An improved version? Why are they doing this? First and foremost, we would like to make our operational strategy explicitly clear. The launch of the Classic version doesn't mean we will stop optimizing the standard version. Okay, I mean that's fair. So both of it are going to run concurrently. But how many players are going to play both versions though? That's the thing. So I'm not sure like what is the intended purpose here. Is it like a different market altogether? So the purpose is to simply introduce a new branch of optimization and the two branches will progress simultaneously. Okay, that's fair. What else? Different player groups have inherently diverse gaming preferences. Definitely, in the past, we have observed that some players' needs could not be fully met in the standard version, leading to their departure. Okay, so they're trying to say a lot of players quit and left because the standard version was too much pressure to try to catch up. Playing catch up is too difficult, I guess. Maybe the power creep, maybe they realized the power creep was too much. I get that, alright? The Classic version is designed for those players who have left or not yet tried our game. Okay, that's fair. Alright, so if they are going to design a new version, so a completely new Classic version for either new players who have not tried Tower of Fantasy or people that didn't like the standard version. In the Classic version, you will use weapons with smaller stat differences but more distinct features and collaboratively challenge more hardcore instance bosses. Through these designs, we aim to bring more fun to players who prefer hardcore MMO experiences. Okay, so this new version, called the Classic version, the weapons with smaller stat differences. So that means you don't have to pull for weapons as much. I think that's what they're saying. And maybe the weapon variety will not give, the pay to win will not give as much what I call that, as much of a power boost. Okay, more distinct features, more hardcore instance bosses. Okay, so the difference between the weapon is not going to be as much, and then the bosses are going to be harder. Therefore, you will need to rely more on co-op, is what they are saying. So the classic version has simplified many contents and removed various gameplay elements. Is this at the cost of the game's original uniqueness? Does it reduce the joy of development for veteran wanderers? The simplifications in the classic version are based on extensive feedback collected from players through multiple rounds and channels. They had pointed out certain content as being too grindy, overly complicated, or too frustrating. That's fair. So this is supposed to hopefully fix that. Why not just fix the standard version then? If it's too grindy, too complicated. The classic version is not about relentless simplification, but setting goals that are more understandable and stable, and long-term fun. Take the equipment system for example. Okay, the equipments, we have removed the secondary elemental stats and reduced the randomness of affixes, so that acquiring and upgrading equipment provides a more stable growth feedback. So there's not as much RNG or gacha into the randomness of the elemental stats, the secondary stats, okay? But it doesn't mean that the system becomes simple and boring. We plan on introducing different themed equipment each season, allowing you to freely create more unique builds. As the classic version is currently in its first season, you haven't seen all of its new content yet. Please be patient as we work to bring you more content in the future. Okay, so what is the relationship between classic and standard? The two versions run on two completely independent sets of servers. They share the same client but with separate account progress. Their servers are not interconnected, which means that cross-server matching is not available and server transfer will not be possible in the future. Okay. Interesting. So what is the relationship then between the events, the rewards, the paid content of the classic and standard version? To maintain fairness, the classic and standard version will share kind of a similar events and rewards during regular operational cycles. The content of events launched in the same period will be similar between the two versions. And the core rewards, including vouchers, vehicles, outfits, the major thing, as well as the acquisition threshold, will remain basically consistent. In terms of purchases, the monthly passes, tenant purchases, gachapon, and other core asset sales in the classic version will also mostly match of the standard version. However, due to the differences in Wanderer progress and in the system structure between both versions, we can't ensure that events, okay, specifically for events, rewards and pricing will be absolutely identical, as the classic version will be pertained to exclusive, careful adjustments by us and kept as fair as possible. So there will be like extreme balancing going on right there. Additionally, as the classic version might still have some imperfections when it initially launches, we will distribute some free cosmetic items that were previously released in the standard version as a way to thank the pioneers who assisted us in starting this new journey. Wait, did I ever mention that you can carry over the progress? You can't, right? With the launch of the classic version, I'm worried that the standard version will become less populated. So is the standard version still worth playing? We won't open too many servers for the initial classic version in order to avoid excessive diversion from the standard version. In carrying out events and promotions, we will treat the two versions equally. Moreover, the standard version will continue to see more new and returning players stimulate its community. If the classic version proves successful, will we see a decrease in the team's investment in developing the standard version? There will be no decrease. We will maintain both versions. Region, simulacra, the gameplay will be identical, okay? What changes in the classic version affect the standard version? Bug fixes, two versions will be aligned. More system modifications will be first tried out in the classic version, and then we'll be consider putting them in standard. And a bunch of balancing stuff. When will the classic version be launched? Let's see. We realize there is much more to explore and accomplish in the global classic version. Therefore, we are committed to refining the global classic version to the best of our ability, and will bring forth a relatively comprehensive classic version at an appropriate time. So there's no time yet. There's no official launch yet. Alright, so for now, we gotta stay tuned. Okay. Is the classic version suitable for returning players? Tower of Fantasy is always waiting for your return. You should choose whether to join the classic version based on your gameplay preferences and how much you progressed in the past. It's true that all wanderers start from the same point on a new server. Whether one can stand out depends on their ability to adapt to the brand new experience. If you prefer harder challenges, more co-op, then try out the classic version. Will Titan equipment be retained in the classic version? The classic version will not feature the Titan equipment system. Instead, equipment updates will be implemented on a seasonal basis. So you cannot carry over the progress. Huh. So yeah, that's pretty much everything we know so far about this new version, right? I'm not sure what I think of this yet, because right now I'm guessing I have mixed feelings about this. I do have mixed feelings about this. I don't know how successful this is going to be, right? But let's see what does Reddit has to say about this. What does Reddit has to say about this? So Reddit, let's see if they can debunk anything. Alright, Reddit is expert in trying to debunk stuff like that. This is just an attempt to double dip, nothing more. They could rework the current servers, but then they will not have the chance to make players pull on old banners again. Hota thinks their players are idiots. Hopefully no one falls for this and proves them right. Not sure about that. I think some people might fall for this actually. There's no way they could do this change on the current server where people already paid money to have their weapons, considering how they are even changing classes around. However, they could have done some sort of compensation for what you have already spent in the real server towards the rebalanced one. You need to start all over, and nothing even from your gacha pools carry over. No thanks. Yeah, starting over is going to be something that is good and bad, right? I think like it does encourage more people to want to try, because you have to start all over, because a lot of people are going to want to start because it's like a new fresh start, right? People like that sort of stuff. A lot of people actually don't like to play a game that's been around for a while because they are going to be behind. They want to be able to catch up. Catch up is important for a lot of people. So that's going to be something that I notice, right? That is going to be something that's a discussion always. If Tencent transfer money spent, okay, then it will be even good news, as server population right now is very dead. Only hardcore whales will admit they like the idea of spending in never-ending power creep game to keep their power. Okay. Why would anyone play a fresh start server where a gacha carries over? That's also true, right? It wouldn't make sense. So the hope is to basically attract new players. So new game, did they change enough to pass as a new game? It's going to be the same story, same everything. Maybe they add more voice acting, I'm not sure. Nothing carries over, not a single thing, not even the spendings. Great opportunity to kill already dead old servers with dead matchmaking while providing no compensation. What compensation though? The reboot is just a fresh start server with some tweaks. The core game is still the same. It may delay Tower of Fantasy's decline, but it won't be enough to save the game. Wow. Save the game. Why are people saying as though the game is da? Is the game dying? No way. But there's so many players though in Tower of Fantasy. Everybody loves Tower of Fantasy. It's too late for this? Huh? What do you mean it's too late? No, the game will not shine again. Right now, Wuthering Waves take the hype of Global with its second beta. Not just Wuthering Waves, but Honkai Star Rail new characters in 2.1. Their new video they really like, a Fever Dream, take the hype as well. Should just launch the Reboot server along with CN1 if they want at least have some hype. Huh. I don't know, we need to see how it goes. To be fair, I do think that if the Collab can attract new players. If there's any way for them to bring new players, it's going to be for this particular collab right here. So yeah, it's going to be this is going to be how they're going to attract new players, and maybe opening the server at the same time and doing a collab at the same time. Seems like a smart idea actually. I think that's going to be the best way. If they are smart about this, you know, doing the Evangelion collab, taking advantage of that, and also opening the classic server at the same time, I think they can capture a lot of players. I would definitely try that. I would definitely give it a shot for sure.